So we have minesweepers there now. We have highly sophisticated underwater minesweepers, which are the latest and the greatest, but we're also bringing in more traditional minesweepers. And so I understand is the UK and a couple of other countries are sending minesweepers.
President Trump moments ago saying the U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz will be all or none, with no passage for any ship until Iran relents. For more, let's bring in the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, Danon. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I want to get your reaction to the president's response here to these talks reaching an impasse. You've got a naval blockade on the strait after Iran failed to reopen it, and a promise from the president that at the right time, the U.S. could finish off what's left of Iran.
Thank you for having me, Jackie. You know, I was not surprised because I deal with the Iranians at the United Nations for years. And I see their attitude. They feel superior to the US, to the Gulf countries, to Israel. And I think they came to the negotiations. They thought they can fool President Trump. But they got it wrong. You cannot fool President Trump. And he told them very directly, you know, if you want to negotiate, let's talk about the main points, you know, the nuclear activities, the ballistic missiles. And they played game. They went around it. And it doesn't work that way. I think the Iranians should go back and have a reality check to understand where they stand now with their situation and come back to the negotiations actually willing to negotiate, not to play any games.
So what does all this mean for the talks between Israel and Lebanon that are supposed to be happening in Washington this week? You know, those talks came about as a result of the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Is this plan still on for Tuesday? And, you know, what is the reaction inside of Israel?
Well, we believe in a direct talk with Lebanon. You know, we achieved peace treaties with so many countries, you know, Egypt, Jordan, UAE, Morocco. It always happens when you have direct negotiations. And with Lebanon, we have no beef with Lebanon. On the contrary, we want to see a sovereign Lebanon, and we have a mutual enemy that's fighting the sovereignty of Lebanon, which is Hezbollah. So we are welcoming the talks, the negotiations, but we know that the Lebanese government, they are very weak, and hopefully, you know, they will have the courage to confront Hezbollah. But I want to go back with you to the Iranian position regarding the Strait of Hormuz, because President Trump, and I listened very carefully to his strong words, he spoke not only about the Iranians who are blocking the straits, but also some of the countries that actually collaborate with them. You know, I will not name names, but you have European countries that are paying top dollars, millions of dollars for the Iranian regime. So I think when you speak about the closure of the strait, it should be clear that if some of the countries cannot use the strait, it shouldn't be open to anyone.
Okay. I want to go back to these talks happening on Tuesday. What is Israel's long-term strategy in Lebanon, and will Israeli forces remain in southern Lebanon regardless of what happens with the U.S. talks with Iran?
Jackie, we have no interest to be in Lebanon. Believe me, we send our boys and girls for decades to fight in Lebanon, and we have no desire to do it again. But we have no choice because Hezbollah took over southern Lebanon and actually launching rockets into Israel. We hope that the Lebanese government will mobilize the Lebanese forces, the military. They will push out Hezbollah, and then we can live peacefully with the Lebanese people. We tried so many things with UNIFIL, with UN peacekeepers. It didn't work. It has to be a Lebanese force that's confronting Hezbollah. There is no other way. At the end of the day, Lebanon will be under the control of the Lebanese people or the Iranian people. We hope it will be the Lebanese people.
Iran certainly doesn't seem to want these talks to happen. You had a regime figure publicly appearing to threaten Lebanon's prime minister, saying ignoring the unparalleled role of the resistance and the heroic Hezbollah will expose Lebanon to irreparable security risks. The stability of Lebanon lies solely in the synergy between the government and the resistance. Do you take that as an open threat?
Absolutely. It's extortion. You know, I'll give you another example, Jackie. The Lebanese government decided to expel the Iranian ambassador from Beirut. You know where he is now? He's in Beirut. He said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. So the Iranian, they act like they own Lebanon. And I think the international community should be much, much stronger. I see France, Spain, other countries actually supporting the Iranians. They should demand that this ambassador should be expelled. and that the Iranian will stop intervening in the affairs of the Lebanese government.
Okay. With about a minute left, I've got three more things I want to ask you. The president said in an interview this week that he told Prime Minister Netanyahu to low-key it a bit in Lebanon after first calling this a separate skirmish and saying the ceasefire didn't apply. They seem to have, reached an agreement with that. But Israel's bombardment of Hezbollah targets there didn't stop. Did the U.S., in fact, formally ask Israel to reduce the strikes in Lebanon ahead of these talks?
We have a very strong bond with the United States. Prime Minister Netanyahu is speaking with President Trump, and we appreciate his leadership. We started this operation together, and we will achieve the goals together. I have no doubt about that. And regarding Hezbollah, we have been targeting Hezbollah terrorists even before the operation started in Iran. It has been going for months. It will continue. We are not going to allow them to be next to our border. We learned the lessons from October 7th. We will not allow Hezbollah to pose a threat to us anymore.
Okay. And your reaction, sir, to the UN? They've condemned Israel's strikes in Lebanon, called the casualty reports appalling. Spain's foreign minister said the conflict is an attack on civilization and said Netanyahu's contempt for life and international law is intolerable. How do you respond to that?
That's shameful, to hear, leadership from Spain and France attacking Israel. And they don't look at the very fact that Hezbollah started this cycle of violence. They joined Iran attacking Israel, and we are under attack for weeks now. And what we are doing now is self-defense, but they don't care about that. They always team up with the bad guys. It's shameful. They think they can appease the bad guys. They got it wrong.
And finally, sir, I want to ask you about Gaza. The deadline for Hamas to disarm has passed. Do you expect Israel to return to a state of war in Gaza?
So we support the efforts of President Trump and the Board of Peace. I met with the official of the Board of Peace. They gave the proposal to Hamas. They are still waiting for the right answers. But, we learned the lesson. We have to do the hard work and to bring stability to the region. So we hope that the Hamas will agree to the proposal. But if that will not happen, we will have to do it again.
Okay. Thank you so much. Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations. Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.